Good morning. I'm higher vibrations, and so are you. At the moment, I'm not able to get Janet on, and so I just kind of wanted to start because I knew a lot of you were waiting. We might end up going on with a different link, and that'll just be through Zoom. I've been using this Restream service so I can stream to both YouTube and Facebook simultaneously, though I've been noticing that more and more guests are struggling with that way of doing it. So she only sees herself. I don't see you either. So you know what I'm going to do really quick for you. I'm sure you probably can hear me, Janet. So I'm going to quickly put it into send a new link over to her. But let's talk about what the energies are happening right now. While I had some technical difficulties too. I don't know what you all are experiencing on your end right now. But holy cow. In fact, just as I was up, my computer alerted me that we were just getting impact of a solar flare energy that was, it said very high is what it comes in. High or very high is what I've usually seen. Here, there she is. I'm going to put this on here for you just in case you're able to come in, Janet. And so that's something that's significant that's occurring right now, as well as I don't know about I know you all know I follow the Schumann resonance kind of closely, and I have an app on my phone that's very reliable usually. But look at that. Oh, you can't even see, can you? It's all blacked out. I mean, not blacked out, whited out. Like there's no information. The app is down. You see that? Normally right there you see the black with the green and the orange spikes. I did ask a friend if she had the same experience, and she gave me a screenshot of her own. And so this is what it typically looks like, the Schumann resonance. You see how it was spiking really, really big, and then it had another spike strip right there just before it went into blackout. And so this is just a validating point. It's nice to have that validation of knowing, yeah, we're definitely getting some crazy stuff coming in. So I'm still kind of waiting on. Oh, hey, I just heard her come. There she is. All right, she's able to join. There you are.
Oh my goodness.
Ready.
Goodness gracious.
I'm glad you're able to come. It's okay. I'm really glad you're. So, are you want to just take a minute to collect yourself while I help them know what's going on right now energetically?
Please.
Okay. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you're able to. Yeah, and so the solar flares that we typically look for these types of energies aren't really found. I saw that, like I know I've mentioned a few times to y'all, this Stephen Burns is somebody I've been following lately. He's kind of a fun energy to connect with because he understands the scientific element of a lot of these things. And he had just posted a second video, both of them today, but to say, wow, there's some stuff going on. I didn't have time to watch it, but I clicked it and I kind of saw, some of it. So just so y'all know, there is what his video was about was having to do with the fact that we're having what feels and acts like a big solar flare with very little evidence of it. Like there was just this teeny tiny one. And so we can see the Syrian energy already amplifying what comes from our sun. What comes from our sun is amplified by 10 at the Lion's Gate. But we also know that happens for the Syrian gateway. And so here it is, a lot of other shifts and energies amplified in a way we don't expect it to. So anyway, as a result, technology is dropping off like pancakes. I don't know why I said like pancakes. And so I'm glad you're able to join us, Janet. Janet is a close friend of mine. I just love her. Almost every audience that I'm in on anything that's live or even after like a post live kind of thing, I'll see her there. Like you're a fixture in the world of the spiritual community that you always show up. You always show up, and I want to say thank you for that. You and the groups that I lead and everything. You're present, and that takes dedication, love, and commitment. So I appreciate that about you. And how are you feeling today?
Oh my gosh. Well, the Schumann resonance tells it all, right? Where did it go? Where did it all go? I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, I just got hit with some energies from a friend. I should not have answered the phone, but I'm over that. And we release, clear our fields, energy on our fields. Yeah, I'm ready to talk because it is a strange and woo time, right?
Yeah, it really is. And we can, I heard someone say, welcome to the Andromedan energy today. And I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. I don't really connect to those types of things very well. So I'm fascinated when I hear those types of things. But that was the first thing I heard this morning. I was trying to turn off my alarm clock and I clicked Facebook instead. Like somehow, I don't know how that happened. You know how it is when you're tired. Oh, by the way, I was awake till 6 o'clock in the morning this morning. That was my bedtime.
Oh my goodness.
So that always shows me what kind of energies we're in right now. You know, is like when you're really tired, I could have gone to bed at 7 o'clock easy and it been like great. But then you have to, as a parent, you have to wait. Well, I do wait for my child to go to sleep. And we've slowly gotten later and later schedules. So then we passed that midnight sweet point, and all of a sudden I was like cleaning my house and like I was being busy and not going to sleep.
Yeah. I took a deep dive into my notes this morning about Lemuria.
Oh.
Yeah. From my studies from long ago. And because I really feel the presence of that we're bringing back aspects of Lemuria.
Mm-hmm.
Lemuria is rising again. And so that's kind of where I went. I mean, gosh, there's so much. I mean, I was reading my notes and I'm like, is this something I want to talk about? Do I have enough information to even speak of it? But yeah.
Share what you would like. We're presenting ourselves not as professionals, but as individuals on this awakening journey, and what pieces of the puzzle we can pick up, whether we know it belongs to a puzzle or not, it's useful to the community. So if you'd like to share, I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
You don't have to, though.
Well, Lemuria was the first real experiment here on Earth with the Syrians. Okay, so the Syrians did join with our DNA at that time and created a magical place of dreamers and philosophers, and it was massive. And to me it was the beginning of my journey because I feel so close to it. I feel drawn to it in so many ways. Anyway, and I have memories of it. So, but yeah, so it had mythical creatures in it. It had beautiful landscape, like the most beautiful places that we love on Earth. That was Lemuria. So every time you see something beauty and you go, oh, that's Mu, that's Lemuria, that's the energy that we're trying to bring back. And there were crystal cities that you had to travel to by levitation to get there. There were people who spent their lifetimes there as dreamers, dreaming beautiful dreams and visions. And you could, if you weren't a dreamer, you could be a companion of a dreamer, and you could they would work with you and help you along the way. And we can still work with the dreamers. And the dreamers now are the whales. They were huge in Lemuria. They were huge, and they would live for hundreds of years. You know, so now we're connecting with what the whales are. They are our dreamers. The water energy of Sirius, and like you said, it was brought in through the water, and it started then. It started then, and so I mean, with all the turmoil going on in the world right now, I'd rather focus on that. I'd rather work with my dreamer. And I do have a dreamer that is one of my guides. And he's huge. He's like a big giant Buddha, big giant Buddha guy. And I'll climb up all over him and sit in his lap and ask him questions. And, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I was very lucky to have experienced the lessons that I learned back then. I mean, and reflecting back on it, and thank God for notes, even though I say now I don't take notes anymore, but I have a plethora of notes to fall back on. I was going to do my original, I wanted to go back on the Sirius workshops that I did to give everybody a little more glimpse into Sirius, but not today.
That's okay.
We already know we already know we're in the Sirius window, and actually the Sirius window is quite large. It's not ending now.
Right.
It goes on through absolutely, I think, till September. So there's a date in September. I was going to try to find for you. What?
I was just almost everything aligns this year on September 1st. A lot of it all begins or ends or starts somehow September 1st. So I'm just guessing it was September 1. That's why I put my finger up.
Right. And from my experience over the years, September has always been a very, well, after the Lion's Gate, it's always a time of adjustment and digesting and alchemizing.
Right.
So
energetically, it kind of feels like September kind of feels like coming out of anesthesia. Like it feels like that. Like last September, I went into the void and stayed there for the length of the month.
Yeah.
Like that was the most and September 1st, if I'm not mistaken, because I've seen two different examples of this. When there's a pause on the age of Aquarius, there's where there's Pluto is no longer in Aquarius from. One report says September 1st to, I believe, November 19th or something like this. So it's the pause on the age of Aquarius is through the duration of also the annual thinning of the veil that happens in the length of October, that depending on who you talk to, the annual thinning of the veil ends either on the 10th of November or the 11th of November. I feel like it's the 11th, though that could be also that the 1111 portal just continues the energy on.
1111 is always a big one. So,
Oh yeah. You mentioned the Lemurian crystal cities, and I was like, oh, I just took a picture of that drawing. This is from some notes. I posted some things in Telegram, and I think also on Facebook recently. I went through a couple of notebooks and just took pictures and just put them up. Anyway, this is one of the ones. So this is let's see if I can get so you can see it. This is one of the crystal castles. It's actually called a lighthouse, and the spiral is to show you a staircase. We were holding these things that we were the plate bearers. So this thing here is I'm delayed, so I'm trying to make my finger go so you can see what I'm pointing at. But so that we all had one of those, and as we went up the spiral staircase, we kind of turned on the lights of this crystal. One of this particular crystal lighthouse. There were many buildings that people occupied that were made from the same type of material, though this particular one, as we ascended up this spiral staircase, and there was a bunch of us led by this really skinny, really tall monk-looking guy, but he I remember thinking that this was one of the only ones that lit up like it did. As we ascended, the light would go from a pinkish red and through all the entire spectrum of all color. And then when it reached violet, it was meant to move into white. And that was when it fell. Like that was what my role right then. That was my responsibility or my choice in the role of that life. And I took that on as I had failed. I remember that. And so you too. Yeah. I also remember us moving the crystals, these big giant crystals, without motion of hand or eye, massive, behemoth, and very almost just barely under the surface of the ground, put them throughout the planet. And I'm actually living where one of those mountain ranges are at right now. But there are several all over the planet, and they're slowly coming up. Like you can see around the base of them that they're being born again.
It's like those Easter Island statues now that they're finally digging below. We only saw the first. Now everything's unfolding. The backs of them, the magic of the backs of them, the fronts of them, the whole of them. And so, yeah, things are rising. And thank goodness, because it's time. It's time. It's time. Awesome. We need all the help. But yeah, I remember being in being in the process of a tower falling.
Yeah.
A crystal tower falling and trying to hold on to those crystals.
Yeah.
I don't remember much beyond just holding on to one, but they were massive. Massive.
Yeah. Like it would take a whole town hand in hand to wrap their arms around the smallest one.
Like, but if we were guardians of crystals, we had the power to move them in different ways. So,
yeah. And something else really neat about it too is that they were like kind of like the example of what people talk about with med beds in a way, but much, much more than that. Like you would put your hand out to it, and this is like a big giant crystal. Like it looks like a building, I guess is some way to explain it. Bigger probably, but just, and as you did, it was like kind of like Iron Man, when he creates his like virtually creates his different mechanisms, and the light will wrap around his hand and stuff. That's what happens. You put your hand out, and it looks almost ghostly how the light would move out, and the whole crystal would light up, and it would be different colors based on whatever you were doing, but it would be sacred geometry that would interact with your hands. And this was the most important part about the crystals, is that they weren't the power. They were an amplification device of the power we already and still do have inside of us. Yes. Same with the crystals that we use today. Like I'm happen to wear this one right now, but there you go. I have them all over too. Crystals are awesome, though they're not where the power source is. It's the place that amplifies it. Go ahead.
No, it's us. Yeah. It's us doing the magic.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, we are the lighthouses. We are the magic, and we have to know and trust ourselves that we know this.
Right.
And allow it to come forth.
Yeah.
Allowing it to come forth.
Allow is a good word.
Although, Elsa, thank you. Yeah. I saw a very interesting thing yesterday that I wanted to send you, and I have it somewhere, and it was about the breakdown of the country of Israel, the name. And I would love for Elsa, let's do an Elsa moment here. So is Israel, Isis, Ra, and El, which is God.
Right.
So the way this guy had put it together was like, I'll have to share it with you. I'll post it. Okay. But think about that. Isis and Ra,
right,
and El. I find it really fascinating. I think things have gotten really twisted in the world. So that original meaning no longer
Right.
is appropriate. But to us who know, who understand the bigger picture,
Right. Well,
right?
there's a lot of hijacking of sacred symbolism. The one that I sometimes I still am, I guess, hesitant in saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, is the hijacking by Hitler, taking the
Yeah.
swastika. And
Yeah.
I won't use that symbol still because of that. However, the symbolism of the swastika was about abundance and peace and balance and stuff. I got a lot of really, it's amazing how many different things this particular symbol encompassed. And then that became a symbol of what happened at that time, and the same is for like ISIS. I remember too, I don't think I heard about um, ISIS much at all until that whole thing happened. I don't remember when that was anymore. It was before my daughter was born. That's all I know for sure. There's pre-Maddie and post-Maddie. That's how I do time. And so,
Well, Isis and Osiris are from Syria, are Syrian people that came down.
right,
Syrian.
right.
I mean, Syrian. So,
Are you serious?
are you?
I wanted to say that last time you said it.
I have a friend. I have so many friends that have opened businesses taking the juxtaposition of the name Sirius, the two Siriuses, and naming their business like Serious Business, but
Awesome.
spelling it in the way of Sirius. Yeah. So, yeah.
I like it. And something else about the L. I actually didn't know this. Spirit told me this, and then I found out later on because I was then sharing in groups about it. What had come through. I just got to. I'll bring that up in a minute. Is the fact that it meant son of God or from God, of God, and God. And like that's what they were saying. And there was a time in my life that I was really into like superheroes and stuff like that. I think a lot of us are. But my favorite joke is the geeks were right. Yeah, but like it's interesting though, is because Superman came from the house of El. And this was also seen on the planet of what I can't remember his planet anymore. I'm not that good of a geek. That was like the highest royalty line was this particular house of El, and I find that you'll see, just like Elsa says, as well as there's a smear campaign and an emphasized thing about something. You'll see something over and over again. I don't even know if the smear campaign is complete injustice to the thing because it brings awareness and we're like, wait a minute, I know that word. That inspires and activates us in some way, and in fact, I'm going to use this moment to say this really quickly, is that when this conversation was happening and I was having a small Zoom meeting after to talk to a few friends about it, Mandolin was one of the people who were there in this meeting. And I kind of want to do a shout out for her. A lot of you in the audience may not be aware, so I'm just going to let you all know that back in May, Mandolin did pass away. And to have such a strong, impactful way shower move on. And she told us she would. A year before she knew she was sick, she told us that she would be gone before the fiasco started, is how she kind of worded it. And she was right, so for those of you who knew Mandolin, just let awareness be out there, and a shout out to my sister, because she's still connected with us and she's lovely. And now she's back with Eddie, so that makes everybody happy to know, because the whole purpose of her having a YouTube channel was it was like a documentary or a video journal of her grieving process of missing her soulmate. So
yeah.
Anyway, I love you, Mandolin, and now anyone who needs to know has that awareness. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to take it dark. I just wanted to.
No, it's good. No, and grieving. I mean, let's talk about grieving. I just went through a process the other day of something, I guess, that I didn't want to deal with, and I really allowed it to come through. And I don't know, details really don't matter. It just, wow, you know, I hadn't realized how much that had traumatized me, and uh, that you think you're done with things.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're done. You think you dealt with it. Well, haha. You know, they come back around. They come back around, and you have to deal with them from your newer perspective, because every day we're changing, we're leveling up, and so we have to level up the experience again. You know, I that's the only way I can really rationalize it in my head, is that as I change, my reflections on the event change.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, sometimes I'm not in touch at all, but doing my best, always doing my best, or trying to, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, I really was like heavy grief, heavy 7-7, heavy grief.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That has 333 right now. Yeah, it was the 7-7 portal that I was informed about this, like right before our meditation group. And it's what we know is, I was shown on March 4th. That was, which I think is really fascinating, that was the day that was chosen to have this interaction, this thing happen. There was a global choice point that occurred at that time. And what I was shown was a lot of the people who did choose to act, no longer stay here, that they understood that they were done with what they were meant to do, and that, what they could do would be more accessible at a higher frequency or this higher place. Um, um, just We're also going to be passing away within, several months to, more than a year after that choice was made, and I can say that, as somebody who interacts with sense for as far as I can remember, with people who have passed, it's been a really weird experience to find out after someone had passed, so long after they had passed, and not known. She's been coming in a lot lately, but I thought it was that we were heightening our telepathic communication, because she's coming in differently. But what happened though at that time, Janet, was also we started to have, see, when people would pass away, when they would die, they would be around for a little while and then they would fade into some place. They'd come back in here and there, but for the most part, they were off someplace. And then what had happened at that time was where the people were going was where we were at. Like, so they weren't going away anymore. They weren't going to another place. And it's really confusing as a seer.
It can
Really,
be.
right?
Right. I have had the same experience
Yeah.
with not knowing someone passed, and a year later finding out they had passed, and it's a weird feeling. Like, I shouldn't, why didn't I know that? Why didn't
Yeah.
I feel that, but I think where things are compressing, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
things are compressing and merging, and yeah, I do feel like I just had my two friends pass, and I feel them with me a lot. So I feel like, you know, it's all happening together. There's no time, there's no, we're all here together.
Yeah.
Future self, past self, parallel lives, you know. I heard something interesting about parallel lives too that, gosh, made me think like, oh my goodness. They had said, um, that say you have an idea of what you want to do. You want to do something. You have a plan. But when you get to that plan, to actually do the plan, you change your mind and you go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Well, that plan still goes
Right.
with it, and you separate. A part of you separates over there and goes on that direction.
Right.
And if that's the case, I have a million me's going in every which direction. You know, I grapple with the, you know, the parallel lives things, but I also am accepting it and trying to bring them in this compression time where we feel everything, you know.
Which is exactly what we're doing on a global scale.
Yeah.
We're merging with, that's what we do when we close these timelines, is that's why we feel so funky after, is
Yeah.
we've now included aspects of ourselves that have parted off, that have broken off, because as each of the, everything played itself out. And so now the most advantageous path is it's collecting everybody else. And so
Yeah.
it does feel like, because like you wake up one day and all of a sudden you know way more about a topic that you didn't even know the name of that topic before you had gone to sleep. Or I'm just using sleep as an example, but that usually is the most activating time for most of us these days. We wake up and we're like, is this really where we live now? I don't remember the place.
I still, you know, it's a hard time for me I don't want to leave. It's really hard for me to wake up.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like what we're doing in our dreams is sometimes more important than what we're doing in the daily life. So, you know.
And you're figuring it out right as you're waking up. And it's like, don't forget that part. Like
Yeah.
last night was like, the one in the middle, the third one is the diamond in the eye. There's an eye in the diamond. And I kept saying it so I wouldn't forget. I have no idea what that means anymore, but it meant something really important, you know? And like, it's just, hey, I have a question in the audience for you. Do you want to answer a question?
Sure.
What is the purpose of twin flames? Do you know what the purpose of twin flames?
Well, okay, I have a real feeling about the twin flame thing. I think the twin flames are us uniting with our divine feminine and divine masculine within. Now, I also believe that we could have a twin soul that's in the ethers. Okay. I do hook up with somebody who I feel is that. But the twin flame thing, I don't really relate to, you know, even though I know there's so many couples who are having these magical, incredible relationships and can be twin flames. I mean, I think everything can be anything. So, you know, it is what you want it to be. We're creating our reality before ourselves. So, but yeah, my feeling is it's a within thing. My divine masculine, my divine feminine. So, and I have seen my divine masculine and my divine feminine working together. So, I don't know if that answers the question, but how do you feel about it?
That's well, you know, I feel a lot of the way you do in some ways. Like I know that back in 2020, and my guides, to explain it in an understanding way, they called them what I'm going to talk about, what you had already said, like having, it's almost a romantic relationship with a higher frequency that that's not even embodied here. It's really weird. And it's kind of like,
yeah.
But they call them 5D husbands to try to explain it to us.
That works.
Me, you know, and like, this was separate though, that the twin flame, from my understanding of it, a twin flame, and this is, you know, everyone's experience can be different. So, but my understanding of a twin flame is that, let's say you're this one, because this is my left side. I know I'm mirrored, so it looks different, but so you're you're ascending like this, and there's definitely ascension happening. You can see that you're moving up, and here comes the divine masculine or your partner, whoever the twin flame energy is, and they're also ascending probably about the same rate or so. That usually is the most harmonic, you know, energy to connect with. And then when there's a merging, then it goes, and when it does that, it like accelerates the ascension process. Now you're going straight up rather than gradual, and it's like that neck breaking speed. This kind of part feels like conflict. I don't like that. Um, there's awesome stuff in the middle, but the conflict part for me in my energy keeping space isn't worth it. It's not an exchange I'm worth making. I'm willing to make. Um, and so I choose not to participate in the twin flame. I've met a few twin flames. I'm good. I'm set. I'm all set. Twin flame can be a child, doesn't have to be romantic. It could be a neighbor. It could, in fact, what I got when this was happening and I was asking the question from spirit, they said, I'm assuming everyone is similar. They said I had 7 twin flames in this life, and they were not all romantic, and I was like, okay. And I could actually see many of them that had entered my life that I would call I escaped from.
Me too. That's funny.
Yeah. There's soulmate, that most people try to talk about soulmate and confuse it with the words twin flame.
Yes.
It's a whole different thing. And so I found this out the hard way, because what I was doing was, okay, fine, I'll be open to romance for a bit. And I started to do the whole call in your twin flame thing. And oh my goodness, that was not the best choice in the world to be making.
Yeah. So the purpose of twin flames, if we look at it that way, yes, is to grow, is to absolutely grow and go through the horrifying experience of it. But yeah, I mean, I've had a few of those, too. So, yeah. But at this point in my life, at this stage in my growth, I really feel I've taken that within, because I really want to just be responsible for myself, and that's what makes sense to me right now, is to be whole within myself.
Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't call that twin flame, so to speak. I would just, it's my divine union.
Right.
The Hieros Gamos within.
Right.
So.
And the new way of relationships, partnership, romantic, in the romantic sense, has been shifting.
Yes.
Where before you would be 2 halves to a whole, my other half, right? And and this is not to offend anyone or whatever. I know I was offended when I was first. That's why I say that. Was it all relationships done in this paradigm, this way, are all codependent relationships, all of them. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it exactly. However, what had been occurring was that then the individual on their own didn't have to fully heal and be a complete whatever they become, right? And then, so that was part of what had that big conversation that went on for a couple of weeks during 2020 with spirit and just the different guides and energies that were coming in, was that now at this point, the individuals were separately on their own healing and becoming whole. And then the dynamic of a relationship looked more like a binary star rather than a melding, the way we had been trying to do. Because there's always somebody who goes without somehow. They're giving too much, or like I don't know. For me anyway, I don't. Not to say that I was the best picker. I didn't pick the best people, I guess, for my relationship experiences. However, for me, it would typically be I felt like I was being asked to negotiate my life on a daily basis. And more of my life, or who I was kind of put to the wayside and to balance out for the needs of the other. And that's not in harmony, So it's a fascinating thing to ponder. And the balancing of self inside yourself, like you had mentioned, is definitely part of this. This is the self-healing that we're all doing in some way.
Very important, I think. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting we went there. That was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it was a question that popped up. Somebody had a question about how hot it is in Pennsylvania. Um, but I can say that globally. So you're in California. I can say
It's
that.
a. I'll tell you what the temperature is right now. It's very warm, and I'm surrounded by fires again.
Hmm.
Um, come on. 103 right now.
Is that typical for this time of year?
Yeah, it's getting. We had 110 the other day. So yeah, I'm in the desert. What do you,
Yeah.
I'm in the desert. But yeah, worldwide, isn't it warm right now? Like
Oh
some of
yeah.
the warmest days on record.
Here where I'm at.
Breaking.
Sorry.
Um, what did I see? Death Valley, 130, 128. Palm Springs broke a record. I think it was 128. Yeah, it,
Yeah.
you can't deny like heating up. Things are heating up. Let's talk about metaphysically, you know.
Things are
You can
heating up.
you can feel it. It's like the energy is amped and you know,
Right. Volcano activity all over the planet, and the synchronicity of the fact that it's called a volcanologist, Vulcan.
yes.
Talk.
Yes.
And the person who wrote this script for Star Trek, the first series, the first, because there's like a
Yeah.
lot of them. He was present for the channeling, the raw channelings, the law of one,
Right. Right.
and the fact that that's linked to that. I know where I live right now in Arkansas. This area, since I've been here, there's been records broken all over the place. There was uncommon weather for the winter, as well as, I mean, I felt, for me, when I'm used to being in summer, it's felt like summer since March, early March.
Well,
And
it didn't
I've been
seem
watching
like
the
we were
record.
going to. I know you had the heat, and we had the longest, like, weirdest springtime. Like, it went from, like, winter, winter, cold, 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 spring for 5 minutes, and then summer. You know, we had those crazy rain and the chemtrails. Yes, it's crazy here, too. Yes.
It's weird how much there
It's
are.
it's it's disturbing on many levels.
Right.
Um, uh, I have an air filter around me at all times.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, it's you know.
It helps to you could do crystal water. I've been doing this. Someone told me about it. I can't remember. Oh, I forgot to turn off my ringtone. Sorry about that. Um, um, I can't remember who it was that told me about it, but they were making misters with putting crystals in the water,
Oh,
in
that's a
the
good idea.
sun, or in the moon, or the sun. I can't remember. The moon water that I make is what we do anyway. And then you just put them in a spray bottle and mist, and it's
Mm-hmm.
weird. It really changes. Like, people were doing it in their yards, is where I got it. People were using like humidifiers that blow,
Right. Right.
um, and that really does help stuff like this. But the chemtrail activity has been off the charts, and the fact that there are still people who don't think that it's a thing. There are different things. There's the contrail, and then
Mhm.
there's the chemtrail.
Right.
The contrail is a naturally occurring thing, and this is a lot of like hot words. So let's see if we get one of those Wikipedia things at the bottom of, just so kind of fact checker thing. Anyway, but uh, a contrail is a naturally occurring stream that's left behind of smoke from an airplane or something like that. And then a chemtrail is one that stays, because the contrail slowly disappears. It fades away, and I'll look up, and it looks like a patchwork quilt or a checkered board sometimes. It's just like, man, they're being serious. Like, just before the eclipse, there
Yeah.
was so much effort put behind, because all of a sudden everybody that was in the line of the total eclipse, there were all these chemtrails that were being reported, and people are posting pictures of them and stuff.
Yeah. They're also saying that was attempts to block the sun, so there would be no damage. I'm hoping that it was for the purpose of there would be no detrimental whatever. But everything has a purpose.
Right.
So
a double purpose.
A double purpose. Yes.
Yeah.
So whether it's for us to become more aware, also salt in the windows, bowls of salt in the windows, bowls of salt under your bed can be very helpful. Bowls of salt all over the house.
Yes.
Cover yourself in salt.
Salt really helps with the ionization process too during solar eclipses. Solar flares. We were just talking. We noticed that. So what happens? Why we feel so much better when we put our feet in the soil, when we put our feet in like the grass or outside, even if it's concrete, man. Like I lived where it was just a big slab of concrete, and that helped. It helped. I could feel where the rebarb was. You could feel where the metal was because the frequency didn't feel very good standing there. So just, step aside and go to the next to it. What happens is our body gets full of what we call positively charged ions. And that sounds like a positive thing, but you're full of all this disruptive, it feels like static, like this background noise, almost like the old ant races. You know how TV used to have that? It might still do. I don't have any way to know. But, and then when you put your feet in the soil, because the soles of your feet have the largest pores on anywhere in your body, everything that is not serving you goes into the soil. Gaia accepts it gratefully. And then now you're left with negatively charged ions. And this is called the ionization process. When we're getting solar flares, our bodies and the air around us get full of these positively charged ions. And that's why we feel so disrupted by it. So doing what you said, I'll add salt to bowls of water just to have it like really accessing the air around me. I won't typically try to put it in a spray bottle. I don't know. Maybe it might crystallize and not work. But also when I first started doing this, I filled up my bathtub half full in the apartment I was in and put like a cup or so of salt in there. It really doesn't matter what the quality of the salt I used. Either I experimented with like the table ionized salt, the 94-cent thing, and it helped just as well as the higher frequency salt. So as long as I'm not going to eat it, that's what I'll usually use. And then little bowls next to where we're spending our time. Like, so I was very careful about not putting it on the floor. I want to put my feet in it, but I'm next to cords and stuff when I'm at my computer.
Yeah.
Just be careful with that kind of thing. But
yeah.
So it helps.
Yeah, it does. So last night, when you sent that Tartaria stuff out?
Yeah.
Oh, shall we talk about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Wow.
Can I explain what happened when I tried to send it before we go into it?
Go ahead. Yeah, because it's crazy.
So there's this video that I did not produce. I can't take credit for it. And so I'll probably share it in our the big Telegram group just so you guys can see it. I don't think I did yet. I thought about it, but anyway, this is a video I didn't produce, someone else produced, and I shared it with a friend of mine back in 2022. And we don't correspond a lot, this person and I, so it was easy to kind of go and find this. And I have been using it kind of like where I keep my placeholder. Lately, we've been starting to talk again more. And so I was going to move that to a private, to like the saved folder so I wouldn't misplace it. And it wouldn't let me share it out. And then I tried to do a screen capture, recording your screen, and it went black. It wouldn't let me show it. So what I ended up doing is having to have it on the computer and then holding my phone up and taking a video of the screen so I could share it with people. And this has been one of those videos that I like to share here and there with people. So I've been able to share it before. And the fact that my phone just goes black and then it'll say for security reasons. So when someone says don't talk about this, it makes me want to talk about it more. It's like, okay, this is something that we
There's
need
something
to
there.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please go ahead. Now there's like a little introductory there.
Yeah. Well, the secrecy thing, I haven't been able to share anything from. I haven't been able to share anything from Facebook or Instagram or whatever. There's whatever's happening right now. It's big time. That's why I'm glad we're on Telegram. You know, I'm ready. Parts of me want to leave Facebook, but anyway. So when you're looking at these images, I mean, it doesn't look real. When they show the people in the streets and the electric cars and everything, and I don't know, it looks so contrived, but at the same time, what was the purpose and why and the timeline? Well, yeah. So I was thinking about it afterwards, like, okay, so part of this was all Tesla, right, for the electricity in all these
Right.
World's Fairs, right? And they took him down. So it's got to have to do with that and the money.
Yeah.
It's the electric companies saying, okay, this is ours, it's not yours, it's not free. So we'll show people these magical things and then we'll destroy them. But they also call it the mud floods, when things were flooded with mud. So
Yeah. To elaborate so people understand what we're talking about a little bit, I just shared it, by the way, to our Telegram group. Those who aren't part of the Telegram group, there's a link for that in the description of this video. This video shows in this that I just shared into Telegram that we're talking about, that throughout the 1800s, there were these World's Fairs. As we know, everybody knows about the World's Fairs, or you probably heard about it and didn't remember. And this during these examples, what would happen was that there would be these megalithic structures, these places of like really amazing put together things. I mean, megalithic like statues made of gold, and these buildings that were supposedly constructed within, I think they said 5 weeks of construction.
with electricity, with free electricity.
No way of knowing how it was being funneled in there, right? And then what happened each time, and I remember thinking this one time, that's why this drew my attention so much back when I found this, was that right after each of these events, then they would demolish it. They would completely level this entire these structures. And we're talking about, I mean, there's like beautiful ponds, and there's like, it looks like ancient Rome, only it's someone who had just recently done it because it was so well maintained,
with giant towers and millions of lights, but towers everywhere to do the energy, free energy. That it's got to be about the free energy. That's why they destroyed it.
Yeah. Discovering so many of these things that were
and Tesla dies like a pauper. Tesla dies a pauper. None of his research is, until now. Tesla's a hero. And
oh yeah, there's a lot about Tesla too. When at the funeral, when they were at the gravesite, this is what I've read in multiple places, though I could be wrong slightly, though I feel like this feels real, it resonates with me. Is that so when everyone was preoccupied by this was when they did the search underneath the Tesla tower that they had deconstructed very quickly. Underneath there is a labyrinth of tunnels and different places where things were kept. His documents were maintained. We know this is true because the person who did it was very famously kind of bragging about it. And this person who did it, who was in charge of this seizure of assets without any real good explanation for doing so was none other but the uncle of President Trump.
Good
So
God.
there's a lot
Wow.
of that. We put so many truth bombs. I don't know if this is. I don't even know if we're still alive. But I.
Oh, it's great. Let's set the truth out. Come on, let's set the truth free.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so tired of all of that. I think we all are just so tired of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's time. Like I've been drawing these different ETs and these different technologies for a while, and it's usually always shared when I'm not recording. Like it's not like, oh, I shouldn't. It's just like I know when you're just called to do something when it's time to do it. And just I've never felt like going on Facebook and sharing all of these pictures with everybody. And the other day it was just like, yeah, do it. Though I was guided to, except for one case when there was a question, to not answer any questions about it. It's meant to be activation. A lot of these images are different ETs that I've interacted with, and many of you have also. You just don't maybe remember it until you see. That's why people are so transfixed by owls, because the owl eyes resemble a lot of the and not all of the ETs that we talk about that have the black looking eyes. That's not really always their eyes. Often they put this as almost like sunglasses, and I always thought it had to do with like our sun or the brightness of our area is disrupting to them. And what I got back was, if you see into our eyes, we will tell your whole story, ruin the story. It's a spoiler, you know? And so to look into the eyes of these others, think about how many times we've met someone, and as soon as you saw their eyes, you're like, whoosh, you're flushed with all this knowing. And this is a person I've interacted with, and I know who you are. But I don't, it's like a dream as you're waking. You're just trying to grasp the hairs as you're like, wait, what was that? And so this is why they do this. That's why owl is so activating for people. It reminds them of these things. And so that's why I was able to post those videos or those pictures, was for activation purposes. There are individuals that are the most frequently interacted with by us at this time, is what. And that's why I chose that particular selection.
I loved it. It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah, they're fun.
I had a couple that really activated me for sure. So you're doing your job.
Good.
Job. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Uh.
Can we talk about another conspiracy theory, quote unquote?
Yeah. Let's do it. Do it.
I don't know if you've even heard about this. This actually came into my awareness only yesterday. Why I'm really interested in this is that I had made a note on the 15th of, which is Monday. That's the conjunction of Mars and Uranus, though conjunctions are very profound and important to pay attention to these days. One of those things about I have a couple of conjunctions I wrote on this tabletop counter or desktop calendar, is this one in particular. For some reason I circled it a whole bunch and I didn't know why, but I usually when I do that I'm like, now I'll know what that means, and I can go back to it and fill in the blanks for myself later on, and then I've lost the anyway, is that I have been anticipating what's being said is I don't know if it's truly going to happen on this particular day or not. What's being said is called something. I think it's Operation Blue Beam or something
Blue
like that.
beam. Blue
And
beam.
this is like artificial presentation of ETs, and meant to startle. And it's not actually really them. They came through a little bit in 2020. I don't know if y'all remember that. They came in um, to show, and I knew that was human. This vessel was human. And so, what do you think about this? Do you know? Are you aware of this
Yeah.
narrative?
Oh, yeah. I am aware of it, and I think I think, I actually think the ETs have nothing to do with it. I think the government is just like, okay, we're going to leak this shit out a little bit at a time. We're going to throw pictures. We're going to throw this and that. Um, I also heard somebody the other day said they have 300 days. It was like just a few weeks, like actually a couple days ago. They said they have like 300 days to do the full disclosure. So, you know, I, whether it comes out in one big piece, I think a lot of it is man made. I think maybe 5% is real.
Yeah.
I think 95% is made up.
Right.
I have a hard time.
Manufactured.
Manufactured. Write down and the pictures, manufactured images that, just, to let, but I think I also think they do want to do it really slowly because they're so afraid. And we're so ready. We've already seen them. So,
Right.
you know, but I guess the general population might flip out. And I mean, I understand where we don't want mass chaos. There's enough chaos going on as it is. So,
Right.
full disclosure of everything, from the banks, would be great. Would be, I want a new world. I want to create a new world, but we can't while all these old structures are still, you
Yeah.
know, trying to control us, you know,
Yeah.
but I refuse to be controlled. I mean, you're not going to, do that to me.
Oh, there's
Oh,
no.
blessings. Yeah. I mean, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. But yeah. And I personally haven't had that many UFO experiences, and I, just maybe a couple, but not like most people who, in our groups actually have big time, experiences. And I've only had a few, you
Yeah.
know, I interact with beings, um, in my meditations from other places, but not like a literal, what you would call a literal. So,
Right.
you know, I know
I'm very different. Huh?
you have, right? I mean,
I have.
you see the orbs all the time, and I don't see those.
Yeah.
Um, I
Everyone's
mean,
different.
I feel things more than I see them. How everybody has their way of digesting information, and I feel things more than
Yeah. I
very
asked
dumb. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I asked this question a little while ago because this is a common question that people ask is why not, why can't I see, or why can't blah blah blah, and um we are given information that is the least disruptive to your form. That's how it's they say it. And so if it's going to cause some type of fear or alarm or, unsettling nature in you, then they're going to, find a different route and different means of helping communicate. There's the going again with this other, side note of whatever they want to call disclosure. Most of it's full of fear mongering. you know we've been conditioned for, a few generations now it's been a few generations of people ingesting or consuming the things that have to do with ETs, otherworldly things. Typically there's some type of like group of bad guys coming to harvest you. You know what I mean? There's like the invasion, concept. And um that's why when the disclosure started in 2020, it was kind of under the radar almost. They hardly anybody even noticed. I was so irritated because I was waiting for it to be like this big,
Yeah,
the
me
world is
too.
gonna.
I was. I
I
was.
was committed. They put me in a mental hospital for talking about when I was a teenager for talking about interacting with the Pleiadians, and then so I kind of, yeah, I kind of wanted some justice, I think, back then. I didn't realize I did until it didn't happen. And though they also showed images from a time years before that to show everyone There's nothing to be afraid of. Everyone's brains are still in their bodies, like no one got harvested. Um, and and to show that everything's fine. I feel like in a lot of ways, that's kind of the basic disclosure we're gonna get. Like, I don't feel like there's gonna be like a big press conference and they're gonna one count over another, show how they lied to us. Like, they had their reasons, and maybe at the beginning their reasons were altruistic, and then all lies end up being a bad idea, and it gets blown out of proportion. You lie so long, kind of crap. I'm not saying there's a good guy and a bad guy here. I just see all points. You know what I mean? I can see where
Yeah.
everybody comes from. And so, though, where we are now is a time of disclosure. And where's that disclosure, Janet? I don't
I
think.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we're the ones doing it, and we're bringing to the surface everything we possibly can.
Yeah.
And sharing what we can.
Right.
I think that's the mission.
Yeah.
That's our mission. To be light, to be the lighthouses. We have memories of being. There's no denying the fact that we're all over the world doing this, whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I really try to clean up my area, like Elsa does hers, like you do yours. We're all cleaning up the energy. I think that's really important.
Yeah. Right.
I do
the best transmuter there is.
Yeah. I do feel very fortunate that in my meditations I am gifted with incredible experiences. So for me, that has been the magic of my life. Channeled guided meditation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. I was drawn to channeling when I was very young. Edgar Casey, then my other teachers, all channels. It was the only information that I could trust.
Right.
The only information that sounded real.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been lucky enough to have a journey in a meditative world that is so special and so much fun. And there's so many, I have so many guides offering service or just being there. People that have passed, they're there with me.
Yeah.
I feel extremely fortunate to have lived the life I have led. Sure, there's stuff. There's going to be stuff. There's hurdles. But we have the gateway into the other world through meditation.
Yeah.
So where I originally thought we would just jump into a new world, that the whole world would change and I would jump into the other world, right? Well, no, we're going to mentally jump into the other world, And the more we do that, the more that becomes a reality. So.
Right. Well, just like any kind of virtual reality experience, you got to take off the headgear to see where you really are. Right. And so that's what we do in meditation is we take off the headgear. The illusion is released. Gone. It's weird. It's the most real, though. I mean, it is something we're taught that's not true. So there's this part of us that's like, well, let's try to validate what I just said, but it just is, this is how we are and where we are. And I like you said this, and I was just, while I was reading the same comment, Mick says, no controlling me, I blow it out my portable door. And you said this thing about these doors, this space of this motion toward, so it's beautiful. It's beautiful that. So how is it that you learned to channel? Do you, because
I
a
don't
lot
channel.
of, well, you
I,
said channeled meditation is what you said earlier.
I found, because in the early days I tried to do TM, Transcendental Meditation. This is in the 70s, Summer of Love. I tried and I really had a hard time with it. I couldn't do it. I read a lot of, books. I read about the Law of One, Ron, and Edgar Casey, and then Robert Monroe, Out of Body Experiences. I tried. It just, and then I found guided, guided meditations by a channel. And mine was Lazarus. I don't know if anybody knows who he is, but channeled by Jack Purcell. And I would go to these workshops and we would do the most.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be workshops on Sirius, there would be workshops on Lemuria, there would be workshops on the Arthurian legends, uh, there would be uh, child workshops, working with your inner child. And during the process of the lecture, it was mixed in with these meditations where you had things you had to do to clear up a problem, or just go have fun. And over the years, by doing that for like 15 years of doing that, I developed, I mean, I flew on dragons, and this was in the early 90s. I was flying on dragons. I was playing with my inner child, giving my inner child new parents, um, uh, playing and on Sirius. And, once I found a channel like this guy and heard him talk, I was like, the angel sang. Every answer to every question I had ever had was answered to me. And I never got that from somebody who wasn't channeling.
Yeah.
It was like, and back then there wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot available, not like there is now.
This is like the
I mean,
90s you're talking about?
yeah, the 90s, 80s and 90s. So, I found my person in like 89. So, but yeah, that's the only thing that ever resonated with me. I would comb through, even when I was a young kid, the only thing I could relate to was Star Trek, Outer Limits.
Oh, I forgot about Outer Limits. That's,
Outer Limits, all those shows. I mean, I would be the only one in my house. Obviously, I was the only one. I would stay up every Saturday night to watch Star Trek from every episode, and you know, every one since. I've seen every Star Trek episode ever.
wow.
But I could relate to science. I could relate to science in that weird Outer Limits way.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to, space made sense to me. Science fiction made sense to me where the other stuff didn't.
Yeah.
So it drew me in even more as I started to develop, and then crystals came into the picture, and oh, woohoo, that was so fun. And it's just been a delight on so many levels. I've had so many incredible experiences. I've been so very lucky because I was a wild child. I'm surprised I made it. I was a bad girl and I had a lot of fun, and I'm proud of it, and I wouldn't take it back for a second. So,
That's pretty typical. I think that's pretty much everyone's story in some way,
yeah.
for the most part. You have a person here or there that isn't, doesn't have. It's fascinating too hearing your progression though, or because so many others right now are having this happen very rapidly. What you just described over a course of decades occurring in, a matter of weeks or months, you know?
We were told that was going to happen.
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah, that we were told. that we were leading the way,
Yeah.
and that others would pick it up very quickly.
Right.
And I think a lot of us got very frustrated in the early 2000s when we didn't see much happening, and didn't feel like our magic was working.
Yeah.
But now I see how it has, and and because I was very limited in my scope, I didn't even get on Facebook until 2020. So or YouTube. I wasn't I was living my own little crisis. I was in a kind of a crisis bubble for about 10 years with my family, and I had to sort of put the spirituality on the back burner while I took care of all this other business.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I did get back on, when I did join Facebook, it was like, whoa, because 2020, think about it.
Yeah.
People started talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for that. I wouldn't know. I got involved in so many things, and more magic came to me, and the other channelers came to me.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun and chaotic ride. And with deep highs and deep lows, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it.
It's weird to think about. There are people who are waking up who weren't present for Y2K. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah, it is
Y2K.
weird.
Yeah, like we're from the 1900s, like.
Right.
But there really was a period of, it felt different to awake during that time. Those phases of awakening that were occurring were very dense ones, in contrast to what we're. And the visual they gave me back in 2020, there's a lot to happen in 2020. We a lot of us could see that 2020 and what was occurring at that time was beautiful. Everybody was complaining about it. And
It
yeah,
was
there were
gorgeous.
things that I was blessed to be in places that didn't enforce a lot of the things people had to do,
Me
so I
too.
have a different perspective on what it was like. However, the world was vacant. Everyone went into their houses, and when they got tired of binge watching and overeating Uber Eats and fighting with their partners, they started to meditate. They started to garden, at first, perhaps because there was a panic of lot of food needs, to just support their families, but it got them to be in the world and the earth, to touch, to interact with the soil and to ground and to,
It
you
was
could
so
feel it
good.
happening,
So
right?
good. So good.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, um, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
everybody shut up. Everybody don't leave their house. I think it was, I know it wasn't that way for everybody, didn't have a good time with it. And I was just, I was having a ball. And I'd come out of I was in a really dark place for about 3 years, and I was not a happy person.
Right.
And I found my happy again in 2020 by finding community. The community is so important. Our connections to these people, and like I said, I am so grateful for where it's taken me, because there's a peacefulness about me that I didn't have
Yeah.
before, and an acceptance of myself that I'm okay,
Yeah.
and that the world isn't going to end.
Right.
and no matter what they say, it's not going to end.
Yeah.
I have total faith and trust in what we're doing and where we're going.
Right. And we're in a perfect place to do it. I mean, everything it's wow, ear ringing confirmation. It's just the perfect moment. Everything's lined up where it looks like bumper bowling. You know what the bumper bowling is, where they make it so you can't fall in the gutter with your bowling ball. There's no possibility of failure. You cannot waver from your path, is what Mother Mary's saying. You cannot falter. You cannot waver. This path is set. your path is set, and all of these things that we're having happen right now are us seeing the weeds as we go along our set course. There are things happening on the peripheral, on the sidelines, and some of those things are closing of timelines. So it's very disruptive. It looks disruptive and it feels disruptive. It's meant to, so we can see what we're choosing, because there needs to be a contrast. The reason that there is shadow is that without shadow, you couldn't see detail in the light. It's just this white blah, right? And that's what spirit showed me too, is it was like a scroll that unrolled. This was the breath out of God. And then this is God here, the brightest point. The farther away from the brightest point you go, I'm trying to make it so you can see the whole thing, but the farthest away, the more shadow there is, and therefore the more detail, like a parchment. The first time that they showed it to me, it looked like dough. When I was a kid, we used to make cinnamon rolls, and you'd roll it out really far, and the farther away from the light, the closer, the more detail you can see. It has character, and you wouldn't see that detail. You wouldn't see that character without there being some kind of shadow, which is why it's for God to experience self. Well, what's happening now is there's the rolling up of the scroll. So it's rolling up now and getting closer and closer to the light source. And so those things that are shadow look darker because we're in this place of more bright. It's brighter where we are. And as we do this, as the way showers that you are, the way shower, the path blade, the trailblazer, the path maker. Often when we do that, we don't see that how much it's helping, how many are following with you, because you're so focused in cutting the weeds to make this path be a walkable space, that now we look behind and we see why they call us the bridge people, is that we are the arc between land and sky. We are showing how to bring heaven to earth, by doing these things that you're doing. Even when you're not interacting with groups, you're in meditation, you're in this place of bringing in the energy. And, I wanted to say something. You brought up a channeled meditation. That's the only kind of meditation that I've ever done with people. I never did group meditation. If anything, I could say stage fright, but I just had no. Why would someone want me to guide them to meditation? And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it, because Archangel Michael wouldn't lay off. And the night before, I'm like trying to study. I'm trying to study, like, okay, memorize, like how I'm going to. And what Archangel Michael said was, basically, I'm just going to paraphrase it, because he does talk like this to me, because this is how I talk, and it's playful, brotherly. But he's like, calm the fuck down. You're not even going to be the one to drive. So chill out, relax, and get some sleep.
Yeah.
Because it was like 3:00 in the morning, and I had it coming up soon. And then, sure enough, that's how I do these meditation groups. This is how I guide meditation. It's always, I'll open myself as a channel, though it starts out with, I'm the one saying, okay, now breathe in through your nose, and this is how we're doing it, and then you're breathing out through your mouth, something like that. And then all of a sudden, there's a shift. Like I feel, okay, it's time for Mila ego to step aside, and so I do. I just get to be part of I am guided too. And I have no idea where we're going. I kind of want to tell people what we're about to do, but I have no idea usually. Like I sometimes have a sense of it. And then you're usually present for these. And it's so cool that you and I see the same things.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, yeah, I mean, well, it's so good. I mean, I could not do it myself. I couldn't get the monkey mind away to do the visual, to be calm enough to do a meditation. But a guided imagery meditation, that is the key. It is the key. It is a key that unlocks every freaking door, man. I on every level, on any subject, on anything. And yours have been so much fun for me, because we do go into the underworld, and that is like the playground. And yeah, you never know what's going to happen, and or what you're going to see, or who's going to come with you, and it's just amazing. And I'm so grateful, because I lost my other channel, passed away, and we were doing twice weekly meditations for 2 years, and they were, yeah. So thank you for coming into my life and bringing me everything I need. You know what I mean? I need guided imagery, because my mind is too monkey mind. I can't get a control of it over it unless once I go into that space, I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm free. I feel more alive than in the body.
And activation after. Like, I get the same benefit. That's the craziest part about this. In fact, I figured out, and I said it out loud, and spirit laughed at me. Like, they knew. I mean, you didn't figure that out. But like, the reason that I was guided when I was to start leading meditation was so I would do it.
What?
So I would do it.
Oh, right.
I wasn't doing that deep meditation. I was meditating, and though just like most of us, we can usually find something else to fill our time and be distracted. And it's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and you end up, the meditation that I would do was more of like, a 20-minute session. It wasn't nearly as deep. Like, the level of depth that we go into, I have to slowly bring myself back up into consciousness, and I wouldn't have gone that deep so regularly if it wasn't for me starting to do this. This was 2 years ago, when back then, I mean, I would now, but back then I had a lot of distraction, and I had a lot of, so it's fascinating how spirit presents you with exactly what you need. And, don't always know why, though I've learned that to just say, this is what we're doing now, and going along with it.
Yeah.
What do you predict? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What do you predict is the rest of the month is going to be like? And not to say that you would know exactly in a very detailed, whatever you want to say. Like, what do you getting the feeling for the next little bit here?
The fact that it has been so inactive, the inaction part of the year.
Yeah.
And then, just touching what's going on out there, a little bit, feeling it out. I said, stay in your own lane, and you don't have to worry about somebody else. I mean, buckle your seatbelt and hold on and trust, because I think a lot's going to happen.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's a lot of things that are going to come down through the Lion's Gate, through September. And then we have the elections, of course. I don't do politics, but
just disruption in the energy, for sure.
The disruption is, but they're all going down rabbit holes in the political world, and it's really hard for me to tell, but I feel like hold on to myself, stay centered, do your meditation, stay with the people that you trust, get away, keep yourself clean in all levels, keep your frequency high. I don't want to interact with anything that isn't of the higher,
right.
Because I do think it's going to be a little disruptive. I do think there's going to be shit coming down the road, but we can do it.
Yeah.
We have all the tools. If we just believe in ourselves, if we just let ourselves be, and actually this inactive time has helped me ground in a way I hadn't grounded before. And like I said, I'm more peaceful now. So
Yeah.
there's something to say about feeling peaceful. Not that I hold on to it every day, not that I don't fall apart on a daily basis, but I do feel we're doing the leveling up slow, slow,
Yeah.
slow. So and you know, actually I'm trying not to label anything and not to expect anything and live right in the moment and just deal with every moment. I haven't been able to make plans. I haven't been able to set dates for anything except for maybe the dentist, and even those usually fall apart. And so why?
Yeah.
Just live for the moment, stay present, breathe. I've been doing a lot of breath work, and that has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Breath work and singing, chanting. I'm telling you, people,
Yep.
turn on some music,
Yes.
turn on some Bob Marley, dance your ass off, get moving, really have fun, because you're the one, you're in charge of what's going on.
Yeah.
No one else. It's your world. It's your world. It's your world. It's your world. Everybody's got their own world. It can either be fun or it can be a disaster. So I try to listen to music every day and sing. I'm in a chanting group, so I do a lot of mantra chanting, and it brings so much. It's been a whole other level, and connecting to that part of myself, which probably maybe I was a monk in Tibet, maybe I was, or whatever, but it touches me deeply and brings me great joy. And not many things do,
Yeah.
except for meditations and stuff
Right.
like, you know what I mean? So anytime you can find something that brings you great joy, and music is a tool for me. That's been one of my tools my whole life. So,
Yeah. I agree. Toning is another way that I've found. A lot of us have hangups about singing. I know I do. I come from
humming,
a
you can
family.
hum. You can
Right.
hum. Humming. Humming
Mhm.
is just the vibration of humming, they say, can go so deep.
Yeah.
Just humming.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to be a good singer. I'm not a great singer. I
Right.
don't sing like, anybody, I wouldn't do that ever. But, you know,
Yeah.
just let it loose. Let it loose. Let yourself free. Let your
Play.
child play. Let the little child in you have fun, and the adolescent within you have fun. Remember that 14-year-old girl who was having a ball.
Yeah.
Well, if you were, I mean, I was lucky. I had a lot of fun. Uh, have a ball, you know?
Right. Exactly. Enjoying yourself and being in this place of play elevates anything that you're doing. Anything that we're doing is doable when in a place of play. It's that whole perspective thing, and like when you can see that you can get through anything when you're in play, and whatever that is, dancing, not caring what you the fact I wouldn't say, if someone asked me if I was a good dancer, I would say no, though I do it frequently.
Me too. I would say the same thing. Just move. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think those are just the important things, and the tones of the music, which I know they fucked up the hertz thing, but a lot of these new people are putting the hertz back to where it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
so you can find it. And what you were saying, you have your little file on
Yeah, I have a folder in my YouTube
your
channel of high
folder. Yeah,
frequency music.
yeah, yeah.
It has
that kind of thing.
you can go through it. So you can go to my YouTube channel now and you go to my folders and you'll see it says high frequency music for meditation. I think is how I worded it. And there's, at least a few dozen, I don't remember how many different examples. And if you read it, it'll show you different hertz and then say what specifically it's meant to target or assist you with. There are some that are meant specifically for certain kinds of body discomforts and ailments. And then for mood shifting. There's even twin flame calling ones on there, I think, but like just all kinds of different. You can also search it in just the YouTube, go into the search on YouTube and high frequency music. And it's surprising how many of them will just pop up and it'll very clearly say what it's designed to target and assist you with. What I'll do for those things, that's why I have folders, is I'll do shuffle. And shuffle is like the magic 8-ball of Sandalphon, of Archangel Sandalphon. You let Archangel, like I got today, this morning, I was trying to figure some stuff out. A grasshopper came and landed on just above my left eye. Like there was the only grasshopper in the whole place. I'm sitting on the porch on a chair. Like why would he be where there's gravel and there's grass right there? Landed right here, and it startled me, so I pushed it off, and then I was like, oh, it's a grasshopper. It walked away for a bit, and then it came back and on the left cheek, and so I was like, well, what's that? And then I haven't heard Bare Naked Ladies songs forever. I don't know if you know who the Bare Naked Ladies were. It sounds like they're something they're not, but it's 1 week, Moon's Shadow. Those two things came up in my head. So I'm just saying that out loud because in 1 week, something to do with the moon shadow might occur, and it'd be kind of cool to have it documented so people can say, hey, that is going to happen. So I don't know. But music is a way that Archangel Sandalphon comes through with music of song, of dance, of play. So to connect with Archangel Michael is easily done by doing that kind of thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a fun little trick that I learned how to do.
Yeah, I mean, music is really a magical tool, and I highly recommend it. Because music is the new, or sound is the new, or not new, but they're going to be using sound to heal. So
yeah,
we know it's healing because we feel it heal ourselves. So, why not? Why not? And I have a full range of Leah. I love you too, Leah. You're pretty magical yourself. But yeah, music is even the old. I mean, I like every kind of music. There's no music that jazz kind of throws me off because it's too weird. But I like it all. I like it all.
Yeah.
Anything that gives you goosebumps. Anything that gives you goosebumps.
Right.
You're on the right path.
Chills of any kind of physical experience. I typically will get chills, but behind my head and down my neck and through my spine.
Me too.
That's usually how. Though when it covers your arms, holy cow, that's what we focus in on. We'll listen to it over and over again and dance and do
right.
family event.
Right. Definitely. They danced in the dancing has been going on. They were dancing in Lemuria. We did Lemurian ceremonies. This channel brought back ceremonies from Lemuria for us. And we did them, like groups of 500 people doing Lemurian ceremonies with music and crystals. And come on, it's just nothing new.
Yeah.
We're just relearning. We're remembering who we are and where we came from, and, just to finish off the Lemurian thing is at the end of Lemuria, we had a decision. You could stay or you could go. And that's how Mu, the rest of the world, was populated. It was first in just one area in the Pacific, but then Mu spread because the people that decided to stay. Obviously, I decided to stay. You decided to stay. You know,
I didn't.
you didn't.
No, I
You
was
didn't.
pissed off. I
Well,
spent.
I don't remember if I was pissed off or not. So
Sorry, I'll let you finish your story, and I'll tell you what I did.
no, I don't remember if I was pissed off or not, because all I know is I have recollections of being many, many places in all over the world. So, and many kinds of beings,
Yeah,
right down to a rock. I really think I was a rock at one point.
awesome.
So, but yeah, finish your.
I came back eventually, but I sulking was the best word that I could use. I felt like as a soul, whatever I was, I was floating in what looked like space, watching a nebula form for hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes, and then remotely experiencing everyone who was here. So it's kind of complicated because I kept getting for a while all these different past lifetimes, and they felt like they were mine. And then I understood, oh, I'm connecting to an Akashic, and then they're like, no, it's not an Akashic, it's your Akashic, and this is how. Because this is my first memory. When I was really, really young, it was like it, it was the beginning of they started to show images of space on these. I can't remember the guy anymore, but there was a main like space guy back in the really early 80s, late 70s. Um,
I
but
know his name.
he lied half the time. That's why I cut his name out of
Yeah,
my
yeah,
memory.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But anyway, my dad was playing one of his videos of this space, and I was like 1 or 2 years old. I was really young, and I remember going, I've been there. I've freaking been there. And what had happened was I was unhappy with us not using it, the microscopic window we had available for ascension right then was just hugely improbable that it would occur properly the way we wanted it to. I still put all of my all into it. And then when it didn't happen, I stuck around for a little bit after, and I helped the refugees, and we placed them all over the planet. Actually,
Hmm.
there's like Tibetans, Japanese, Haitian, Hawaiian, Samoan. There's a Native American. There's a Alaskan. There's a whole bunch of individuals that all come from the same genome of the Atlantis Lemurian period. Anyway, and I sat up there and sulked. And energies every once in a while would come ask me to come help, and I was like, no. I basically gave the middle finger and said, I'm good. I'm set. You know, and people were just getting more and more angry on the planet. You can feel them becoming angry and angrier. And instead of being in a place of celebration, more and more they would feel like they were screaming out, crying, desperate. And it doesn't feel like a place you want to go anymore, and I was mad about it. I was mad about it. Though Moo has been coming up so much lately. In fact, that was one of the things that I saw pop up right away on Facebook today was Dr. Joe. He was
Always saw that.
an
So good.
avatar of a cow and talked about Moo. Yeah. Moo is here. Moo is Lemuria.
Yeah.
Um, they call it Lemuria because that's where they discovered the lemur, the island, and that's what the whole thing is about. If you look into, I'll post it again in the Telegram group for those of you who aren't in our Telegram group. There's a link for that in the description here um, of this video. It's got like 460 so people. It's really cool, and there's all these other little topic subject groups within it. And if anybody ever wants me to add another subject group, I'll do it, man. I just added one for humor, and I just uploaded like 200 of my funny memes and just like dumped it. But I'll post this about the whale. But whale medicine in the totem world, it explains a lot of things about Moo, and the last part of it, it's the swimming library. It's the one that anchoring all the knowledge. The last part of it talks about the time we're in now. When the sun weeps into the other ocean, Mu shall rise again. Mu Lemuria is considered here as an example of consciousness as well as a physical body of a physical place that can be gone to. And as a lot of you have been probably noticing or hearing about, there's been a lot of revelation, both in just disclosure as well as finding out all the stuff that's in the ocean coming up to the surface. They're showing us these ancient things within the waters, just barely out of view. And a lot of this is Lemurian technology. There are still some beings that we all know are Lemurian. Mount Shasta is one known place where they come in and out of. The underworld is also known as inner earth. This is where we always go in meditation. To go up, we go down. And it's not creepy. It's not scary. It's crazy, beautiful, and awesome. It's magical, so. And if you are joining our Telegram group, please look for the audios that I posted on occasion. Those are from I have a small meditation group that we do weekly, and I do the audio recording of it and post it so that people can join into that and do that for free. If you are interested in joining our small group, that's on Sundays. But it's been really fun having you on. I just realized we've been going for an hour and 46 minutes, so we probably better close it up.
I mean, I live for this. This is all I want to do is talk the talk.
Yeah.
Because this talk the talk helps us walk the walk.
Yeah.
So dance while you walk. And if you need to wrap it up, I get it. I love you.
I love you.
Yeah. Remembering being.
Yeah.
Yes. Very.
Yeah. This guy. Yeah. Carl Sagan. That's right. Thank you, spiritual seeker.
Love Carl Sagan. I love that movie. That Contact movie was my favorite. You don't remember it? You should watch it.
Was it the one, the ET one with the crazy guy that likes to dance on the?
No, Jodie Foster.
Yeah. That was a good movie.
That was
man. When that first came out, that was amazing effects. I went and saw it again not long ago, and
there's a lot in there. There is a lot in there.
Yeah.
About the spinning and everything. Oh my God.
There's a lot of code. If you allow yourself to use your spiritual discernment, you can tell. I mean, that's one of the everybody here on this awakening has it. We're the world's best lie detectors. We can smell bullshit a mile away. And so using that skill, experience all of these things and then pull out what is correct and leave the rest.
Absolutely.
Just because someone shares some things that don't resonate with you doesn't mean that the rest of it is not correct. So I won't watch the news in any way, but I on occasion it'll pop up and I'll like an article to read, and on occasion I will just to like buff up that spiritual ability of like, it's really reading between the lines. It's really like, instead of hearing any of the fear paradigm, any of the fear tactics that's being presented, what's the facts? What are they saying here? They're saying that there's more volcano activity on the planet. Okay. Oh, cool. They're saying that this thing is going to happen, rather than hearing the narrative of the end of the world, because it's not the end. We're already in the new. The new started April is when the new started. We are in the new. I mean, started in a way that it's here. There's no denying it any longer. And it's just realizing where we're standing. And that's all.
Anew, as Elsa would say.
That's right. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me today. I hope I gave you enough time to talk. I feel like I rambled more than I meant to.
No. I mean, there'll be other times. There's other places. I mean, I feel I'm glad I did this, and every time I do it, I feel a little better. And I don't know. I just think everything we do together is so important. community is so important. So for me, it's part of me being you and everybody else, because I really believe in the concept of oneness and unity. So that's what I want. And this is part of it. So
Yeah. Thank you. You're beautiful.
so are you. I love you so much.
I love you very
Love
much.
everybody.
And for all of you who are joining in, just know you're okay. We're all going to be doing this.
Yeah.
It's going to feel a little bit shaky for a minute for some people, and for others of us, we're going to be just sleeping more and drinking more water and being barefoot in the world a little bit more than we did before, and
And
cement
dancing.
dancing, celebrating,
Yes, yes.
So I feel like I'm going to be going live again yeah, at a not normal time sometime in the next couple of days. So I'll see you guys when I do that. Um, it's all good. You know that you're not alone. And uh, anyone who does want to join our Telegram community, because there's usually a question, it is not, there's no charge. We're a private group though. So that's why you need the link to join our group. 'Cause that way just random Telegram people won't come through and find the group. I was guided to do this. So everybody's saying thank you and they love you. And I'm just going to grab a couple of the ones really quickly. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Janet. You're lovely.
Thank you. I love you.
I love
And
you.
everybody else.
Thank you.